Well, as we all wait patiently for the next week or so to tick over and we can finally get back to on-track action in America in Austin, Texas, we might as well bring you a bit of Formula One news to quench your F1 appetite. Now, there's plenty to dive into this Friday, so sit back and wait for those headlines. But before we go any further, just a reminder, hit that subscribe button down below to stay up to date with all the latest news and views, the GPFans Stewards Room podcast, and all the specials we produce here on the channel as well. But now, let's dive into the headlines this Friday.
FIA race director Michael Massey has revealed F1 could trial a system that would see drivers have a lap time deleted in qualifying if they pass through a yellow flagged sector. When yellow flags are displayed trackside, drivers are expected to slow down as there is an incident on the circuit, as we all know. Should double yellow flags be waved, drivers must be prepared to stop if required. In Turkey last Sunday, Fernando Alonso was investigated for ignoring double waved yellows in qualifying, as he set a time comparable to others on that lap. As the track dried, however, the time became irrelevant and the Spaniard avoided punishment. Speaking of that incident, Massey explained, "It is one of those unique situations where you could argue that everyone who had set a lap time that first lap out that went through double yellows, it was a meaningful lap time because at that point in time, it was the only time they had set, as was the case with Fernando." However, the FIA and Massey are looking into a possible solution to this problem, and we could see it rolled out at the United States Grand Prix later this year, with times being deleted on any lap where yellow flags are shown in order to discourage drivers from continuing to push. "That could be a solution. Let's see what we do at Austin," added Massey. "We have done it when it happens for track limits, and we can investigate what areas will work best and just make sure there are no unintended consequences. It sounds on the face of it, but you have to talk through it, all with a sporting advisory committee anyway, and that is one of the ones on the agenda. There is probably a bit of tweaking of wording we can do. It has been one of those that has been as it has been for quite a while. With some discussion we have had, there is probably some refining we can do to make it clearer for everyone." As the potential test would not be a regulation change, the FIA would not need to put the change to a vote, which is ordinarily required should F1 wish to permanently adopt an idea or solution. It is in my event notes, so it's not even a regulation change, so the legal terminology would be "it is the test," said Massey. "You need to comply with the requirements within the ISC, the International Sporting Code, with applying the double yellow flags, but effectively to prove that you have done that, the test is the meaningful lap time scenario." Elsewhere, Lawrence Stroll has been discussing his son's 2-year spell at Williams, calling the time his lad spent at the British constructor torture. Stroll rocked up to Williams in 2017, and although he found himself on the podium in Azerbaijan in his first season, he often struggled to replicate such a grand finish, spending most of his time finishing outside of the points. After leaving Williams for a drive under his father with Racing Point in 2019, Lance has experienced a much smoother ride in Formula One, spending much of the 2020 season in fourth in the drivers' standings before contracting COVID and that heavy crash in Mugello. Speaking to the Beyond the Grid podcast, Lance's father Lawrence said he hadn't thought about starting his son's journey in F1 at anywhere else but Williams, but that the time spent there was less than pleasurable. "We started with Williams 2 years of torture, particularly when you are used to coming off winning everything and you train for 2 or 3 hours every day, watch what you eat, and the best you can do is P19 on any given weekend. It is challenging." Lance Stroll splits F1 fans down the middle, with many suspecting that the young Canadian driver only has a drive in the sport because of his father's influence, but Lawrence looks to his son's ability in Junior Series to validate Lance's spot on the grid. "I think Lance demonstrated it in all the junior categories when all the cars were pretty much identical. You just bought a car and there wasn't much you could do to it, but we won many championships in go-karting in his early days," he explained. He won in Formula 4, won F3. I think it was the most wins and most poles, if I'm not mistaken, against a lot of guys that are actually here today in F1. Given the history demonstrated and last year with having a proper car, we also had a lot of bad luck last year. Lance was on a real roll and was fourth in the championship, and then we had a tyre blowout in Mugello, which would have been another podium. We had a few people push him off the track, so we had our share of bad luck really in the first year we had the car to be able to do anything. We all know you are only as good as the car. You could put any world champion in the car that is 18th on the grid, and he will be 18th or 17th. He clearly isn't going to be first.
As always, we're always interested in everything that you have to say about our channel and about the breaking news in the world of Formula One. So don't be a stranger, get into the comments section down below and let us know your thoughts and feedback on what perhaps you want to see on the channel and everything that's going on in the big wide world of F1. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below to stay up to date with all of the content that we prepare for you, and get onto Twitter and Instagram at GPFans Global to stay abreast of everything in Formula One across all of our platforms.